Please welcome to the stage Chair of Envision Utah's Board of Directors, Ty McCutcheon.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us to our 2024 Common Good Awards ceremony. We hope you enjoyed the time to visit. I understand a few may be joining us a little late as the arm in the parking garage was in the down position and didn't allow people to get in, so we do apologize for that. But at least they have a good excuse, right? We hope you enjoyed our string quartet back in the corner. These are high school students from Brighton High School. We were serenaded by Emma Christensen, Hannah Wixom, Zoe Merkley, and Felicity Gardner, so thank you so much. Our event today would not be possible without our sponsors, and we have several, starting with our headline sponsor, Enbridge. We would also like to thank our other sponsors. Our gold sponsors include the Woodbury Corporation, Jacobson Construction. Our silver sponsors are Cowboy Partners, Ivory Homes, the LDS Foundation, Zions Bank, and our bronze sponsors, the Larry H. Miller Foundation, the Nature Conservancy, AARP, Third Cadence, Clyde Companies, and the Salt Lake Chamber. And as always at Envision Utah, we are so grateful for the ongoing support and matching contributions of the George S. and Dolores Story Eccles Foundation. So thank you all to our sponsors. We have quite a program today. We're going to go ahead and get started, but we encourage you to continue to enjoy your breakfast throughout the event. The first half of the program, we're going to have the opportunity to hear from our keynote speaker about the importance of higher education. We will then recognize our 3 Common Good Award winners for 2024. And finally, we're going to have a video from one of Envision Utah's honorary vice chair or co-chairs, Governor Spencer Cox, who was not able to be here with us in person, but is going to join us with a pre-recorded message. As to the program, instead of a printed program, we have QR codes available at your tables, so go ahead and snap one of those, and you'll be able to follow along. At this point, to kick things off, it's my pleasure to hand the podium over to Envision Utah's president and CEO, Ari Bruning. Ari, come on up.
Well, the most important thing I need to do today is to welcome you all and thank you for coming. This is a busy time of year, and I know there are a lot of other things you could be doing, so thank you for being here and spending some time thinking about Utah's future and helping us honor some amazing organizations who are doing great things to make Utah a better place. We've been holding this event, the Common Good Awards, since 1996. And you might ask yourself, well, why do we do this? Well, we understand that making Utah a great place and keeping it a great place, despite all the challenges that growth presents, requires a lot of people working towards the common good. And so we're happy to be able to recognize, even if it's just a few of them who are doing amazing things today. They're very deserving. See, this is what Envision Utah is all about. From our founding, Envision Utah has mostly been just a group of people willing to have tough conversations about the future and then go out and work together toward the common good. And the doing part is a hard task, but sometimes just coming together and being willing to plan and to collaborate and have those tough conversations, that's just as important. So earlier this year, we talked about this event and maybe simplifying it, and we thought about maybe not having a keynote speaker and talking about a big issue. But I have to say, I love that we pack so much into these events. I love that at the same time we're thanking people for doing amazing things, we're also reminding ourselves that we have more work to do. We have to plan for the future for our kids and grandkids. And I love that so many of us are willing to come together to think about those issues together. So at least for this year, our event is as full as ever, with a focus on higher education, which is a critical issue as we think about the future. at the same time that we celebrate these incredible awards. So in the interest of simplifying the program, one thing I can do is keep my remarks short. So mostly I want to thank people. I want to thank Courtney Brown from the Lumina Foundation for being here to talk to us about higher education. And I want to congratulate and thank the wonderful people at Friends of the Children, the Stella Oaks Foundation, and the Utah Shakespeare Festival. By the way, this year, for the first time, we've recorded podcast interviews with each of our 3 awardees, and you can check those out at Apple Podcasts or Spotify or on our website. You can learn more about the amazing things that they're doing. And also, thank you to our sponsors for helping make this event possible. And, of course, thank you to Envision Utah's staff. It's been a year unlike any other. We've done some amazing things. We completed a water values study to understand how Utahns are thinking about water. We had our first foray into healthcare as we helped put together the Utah model of care, which is a vision for the future of healthcare. We've done some incredible work in education, and we've kicked off several important projects all about growth in Utah. Stay tuned for results of those. The staff does such a wonderful job at this event that I feel like I just basically have to show up, and I know everything's going to run smoothly. So please join me in thanking all these people, our award winners, our keynote speaker, our sponsors, and our staff. Let's give them a big round of applause. And now let's get going with our program and get to work. We're going to start today's event with our keynote speech diving into higher education. One of our board members, Dr. Elizabeth Cantwell, president of Utah State University, is going to be introducing today's speaker. And I want to say that we're lucky to have someone like President Cantwell leading our land-grant university. When we first met her, it was clear she was the kind of forward-thinking leader we wanted to have as part of the Envision Utah board. So I'll hand the mic to President Cantwell to introduce our keynote address and then to facilitate a Q&A. Thank you.
Thanks, Ari. I want to let you know that I came to Utah about 1.5 years ago, and Envision Utah was one of the first organizations that I targeted for my personal endeavors because it really does the kinds of things that I believe in. So I'm very happy to be standing up here, happy to introduce this particular speaker who helps intersect what Envision Utah does and what I do in higher education. I think all of you know that higher education is in an interesting position today where there's lots of discussion and controversy and change. But the enduring value of higher education slots right into Envision Utah's mission, which is to make sure that Utah is ready for the challenges of the future. And higher education has a significant role to play there. So it isn't just a role associated with our economy. It is a role associated with our strong communities. It's a role associated with our families. It's a role associated with opportunity for individuals. And all of those things get rolled into what does higher education bring to the value of the state. That doesn't mean it's going to look the same. And I am here to tell you that higher education not only doesn't look the same as it has even a decade ago, but is changing very, very rapidly. So this will be both a discussion, meaning we'll have a Q&A afterwards, and a talk. And if you, during Courtney's lecture and discussion, have a question you'd like to ask, I believe you can, there'll be a number displayed on the screen somewhere, and you'll be able to text your question, and then when we're doing Q&A, I will have those. I will tell you, I expect, if you have questions, text them before we enter into the Q&A, because I don't know if I can get updated after that. So let me introduce Courtney Brown for just a moment. Dr. Courtney Brown is the Vice President of Impact and Planning at the Lumina Foundation. I am very familiar with the Lumina Foundation, and if you aren't, I would encourage you to go online and take a look at the kinds of things that they do. The Lumina Foundation is an independent private foundation. It's committed to making opportunities for learning within the context of higher education available to everyone in America. And that is a significant, not a small calling as well as a task. It is, therefore, one of the foremost sources for tracking and understanding higher education attainment across the United States. So Courtney leads the foundation in that work, and I'm sure that she'll bring some perspective in her talk about attainment and how we understand what we're getting when we're involved in higher education. Courtney brings a strong background in education policy and research. She serves on the board of directors for the University of Virginia's School of Education and Human Development, on the advisory board for the Center for First Generation Student Success, and the advisory board for Western Governors University, Indiana. Her whole bio can be found by taking those little columns on your table and scanning the digital program. Courtney's a powerful voice for the value of higher education, the role higher education plays in our collective future. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Dr. Courtney Brown.
Hi, everybody. It is wonderful to be with you, and thank you for that very generous introduction and for welcoming me today. It's a privilege to be here today to celebrate the transformative power of education and, more importantly, honor the amazing Common Good Award winners this year. These awardees inspire us all. Through their work, they are not just removing barriers to education, they're creating opportunities that lift individuals, families, and communities. They embody what education is truly about: transformation, empowerment, and hope. Education is such a personal topic. I guess everyone in this room has a connection to higher education, whether you went yourself or you know somebody who did. And with that experience, you also have a related study. So for those of you who went to college in Utah, maybe it was hiking the Y at BYU, receiving a kiss on the A under a full moon at midnight at Utah State, or lighting up the U after a game at University of Utah. Maybe it was meeting your spouse. If you were so lucky, maybe it was the same person you kissed on the A at midnight. I don't know. For those of you who maybe went somewhere else, maybe your stories don't involve a letter like Y, A, or U. For those of you that maybe it was meeting a teacher who inspired you, who believed in you, a class that sparked a lifelong passion, or the experience of earning a degree while balancing work and family. And on the other hand, just as many of us may have experienced ourselves or know someone whose educational journey was cut short by barriers that felt insurmountable. How many of you were first in your family to go to college, or know someone who was? How many of you know someone who was changed because they returned to school, earned a credential, or even took a single class that opened a door for them? These stories matter. They remind us that education is personal. It shapes who we are, the opportunities we have, and the paths we take. But education is also universal. It shapes our communities, strengthens our economies, and builds the foundation for a better society. But here's the thing. We're having this conversation at a challenging time for higher education. Many Americans are asking tough questions. Is college worth it? Does it prepare students for the future? Is it accessible to everyone who wants it? These questions are valid and the challenges are real. Yet I believe in education's power because I've seen it transform lives. When done right, education is about so much more than job training or earning a paycheck. It's about resilience, growth, connection, and hope. As someone who loves hiking, I often think of education as a journey on a mountain. It's not always easy. The climb can be steep and challenging, but along the way, you gain a new perspective. You build resilience and you grow stronger. And when you reach the summit, the view, breathtaking. Being here in Utah, surrounded by some of the most stunning landscapes in the world, I can't think of a better metaphor for what education can do. So just as your mountains and your canyons define the physical identity of this state, education defines its people. At Lumina Foundation, we share many of the same goals as Envision Utah. We both work to make education more accessible and affordable, to foster thriving communities, and to elevate diverse voices. And I was struck by something Envision Utah discovered when they surveyed 52,000 residents of Utah. They identified education as the key to building safe, prosperous, and neighborly communities. That insight drives everything we're here to discuss today. So let me share two stories that have stayed with me over the years. Stories that remind me why education matters so deeply. The first is Sarah. I met Sarah when I was fresh out of college, working at a call center in Charlottesville, Virginia. Sarah was one of the smartest, the most determined people I have ever met. She had started college, but had to stop out after a year to work and support herself. She planned to return when she could afford to go, but life got in the way. When I met Sarah, she was a single mom raising 2 kids, working full-time and taking night classes at a time when online classes weren't a possibility. Her life was a constant balancing act. She'd wake up before dawn, get her kids off to school, put in a full shift at work, and then head to class. At night, she'd study at her kitchen table after her kids were asleep, often running on just a few hours of sleep herself. Sarah believed in education, not just for herself, but for her children. She didn't just want a better job, she wanted to break the cycle of struggle for her family. She wanted to show her kids that perseverance and learning could lead to a better future. But life wasn't easy. A flat tire, a sick kid, an unexpected bill could derail everything. And the system didn't make it any easier. It wasn't designed for someone like her. Watching Sarah navigate those challenges made me realize how much we ask of people like Sarah and how little we sometimes give in return. The second story is about Alex. I met Alex while I was volunteering as an English as a second language teacher for migrant workers during graduate school. Alex wasn't a migrant worker. He was their supervisor. In his 30s, Alex worked long hours in a job he did not enjoy. It paid the bills, but just barely. He dreamed of more stability, a better income, even things we all take for granted, like joining a gym or taking a vacation. For Alex, college wasn't just out of reach, it was unknown. Growing up in a small, rural town, no one in his family had ever considered it. College isn't for people like us, he said. But Alex had big dreams. He loved technology. He wanted to open a tech store, not just to sell gadgets, but to teach others how to use them. But he knew he needed more education and training to do it. Still, he was curious. He'd ask me questions. Could he take just one class, even if he was in his 30s? Would he fit in? Could he manage working and taking a class at the same time? Did someone like him even belong in a college classroom? For Alex, education was a bridge to a life he could barely imagine, but it was a bridge he didn't know how to cross. Sarah and Alex's stories are not unique. They reflect the challenges millions of Americans face every day, people brimming with potential, but held back by barriers, financial, cultural, logistical, barriers that we have the power to break down. Sarah and Alex are a larger part of a story about a system that's struggling to meet the needs of today's learners. Today, 42 million Americans have started college but never finished. That's 42 million stories of dreams deferred and potential left untapped. Just under 500,000 of those 42 million are right here in Utah. Many of these individuals stopped out not because they lacked will or ability, but because they faced impossible choices: paying for classes or paying for rent, studying for an exam or taking care of a sick family member. Sarah and Alex's story reflect a larger crisis in higher education today. Skepticism about value is growing. This isn't just an individual crisis, it's a systemic one. A recent Gallup poll found that only 36% of Americans have confidence in higher education. That's down sharply from almost 60% in 2015. And worse, another third have no confidence in higher education at all. This decline is not without cause. Rising tuition costs have put college out of reach for many families. Students graduate burdened with debt, and institutions often seem more focused on rankings than on supporting students. These systemic barriers and these systemic failures are driving a vicious cycle as college becomes less accessible, fewer people enroll, which only deepens public doubt. The crisis in higher education has ripple effects that go beyond individuals. It threatens the economic and social fabric of our communities, our states, and our nation. Consider this. By 2031, 72% of jobs will require some form of post-secondary education. Of those, 42% will require a bachelor's degree. Right now, the U.S. is not on a trajectory to meet those targets. Our attainment rate is only 54%, with only 37% having a bachelor's degree. Now, it is true that we have made significant progress in increasing the percentage of adults with a degree or other high-quality credential. As you can see, we went from 38% in 2009 to 54% today. And in that same period, Utah has made even greater progress. Here, the attainment rate has risen from about 39% in 2009 to an impressive 61.5% today, the third highest state in the nation. It's pretty impressive. Congratulations. Remarkable progress. But even with these gains, there is still work to do. And for states like Utah, the stakes are even higher. Your economy is thriving. Your job growth is outpacing the national average, and unemployment here is among the lowest in the country. Did it switch? No. All right, sorry. But these successes depend on a strong, educated workforce. Without it, the momentum slows and the opportunities narrow. Utah is setting an example for the nation with innovative programs that remove barriers and open doors for students like Sarah and Alex to succeed. Take Admit Utah, for example. Launched with support from Lumina, this program guarantees college admission to one or more of Utah's 16 public colleges and universities. It also offers guidance for students who are unsure of their next steps. This fall, Admit Utah helped your state achieve record-breaking enrollment. More than 200,000 students statewide, matching the population right here in Salt Lake City. And it's not just about numbers. Weber State University now has more than 4,000 Latino students, bringing it closer to being a Hispanic-serving institution. These aren't just numbers. They're lives transformed, families gaining opportunities, communities getting stronger. Another example is Aggies Elevated, Utah State University's program for students with disabilities. It provides mentoring, tutoring, and life skills classes that build independence and confidence. Some graduates even earn associate degrees alongside their certificates, proving that barriers can be overcome with the right support. Then there's the BOLD initiative in northern Utah, where 10,000 high school seniors can enroll in college without a GPA requirement or an application. Programs like these are more than innovative, they are life-changing. They show students like Alex that college isn't just a possibility, it's a place where they belong. But let's take a step back and think about what education really means, not just in terms of jobs or salaries, because we already know those positive impacts, but in terms of its power to transform lives. For Sarah, education was about more. It was about creating a better future for her children and breaking the cycle of struggle in her family. It wasn't just about earning a better paycheck, which she definitely needed. It was about inspiring her children to dream bigger. For Alex, education was about believing he could turn his passion for technology into something meaningful, a way to serve his community and build a life he was proud of. These stories remind us that education isn't just about individual success, it's about community transformation. It's about creating stronger families, healthier neighborhoods, and a more connected and thriving society. A Lumina Gallup poll last year bluntly asked, education for what? The overwhelming response was clear. Life is better for college graduates in 50 ways. People said education leads to fuller, more productive lives, better well-being, volunteerism, closer connections with family and friends, and fulfilling jobs that align with natural talents and passions. Higher education enriches us in so many ways. It contributes to active minds, healthy bodies, and longer lives. It's a foundation for happiness, confidence, and resilience. It promotes independent thought and curiosity. It opens our minds to different cultures, perspectives, and ideas. It equips us to manage complexity, embrace differences, and adapt to rapid challenges, all of which will be essential skills and abilities in our AI future. Closer to home, the data from Utah paints an inspiring picture of what education can do. A study by the University of Utah's Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute found that people in Utah with degrees or certificates are more engaged citizens. They vote more often, volunteer more regularly, and take greater pride in their communities. Last year, Utah ranked first in the nation for volunteerism. First in the nation. Nearly 1 million Utah volunteers contributed $2.7 billion to the state's economy. That's the power of education. Not just what it enables us to achieve, but in who it helps us become. Education is also tied to health and longevity. Research shows that people with higher education levels live longer, healthier lives. They're less likely to experience depression, addiction, or chronic illness. While just as attainment levels have grown substantially in Utah, so has life expectancy. Life expectancy in Utah has steadily increased, with men now living an average of 78 years and women 82 years. You're one of the top states in the country. But the opposite is also true. People without education beyond high school not only earn less, they struggle more. They're more likely to face unemployment, rely on government assistance, and suffer from poor health. The gap in life expectancy between Americans with college degrees and those without has grown to 8.5 years. Think about that for a minute. Nearly a decade of life. That's the power of education. And if you ever wonder whether it's too late to pursue an education, let me share the story of Oneida Assumption, a Utah native who graduated from BYU at the age of 90. She fulfilled her lifelong dream of earning a journalism degree, proving that education has no expiration date. And she's not alone. Before her, Fred Paulson Jr. earned his degree from BYU at the young age of 80. These stories and the data remind us what's possible when we invest in education. At Lumina Foundation, we see the transformative power of education every day. And I see it here in Utah, where so many organizations and programs like the ones being honored today are removing barriers and creating opportunities for students like Sarah and Alex. Take the Stella H. Oaks Foundation, for example. This incredible organization provides scholarships to single mothers, helping them stay in school while supporting their families. This semester alone, 200 children watched their moms head off to school, setting an example of perseverance and ambition. What an amazing opportunity that would have been for my friend Sarah. Or consider Friends of the Children, which provides one-on-one mentoring to vulnerable kids, some as young as 4, helping them navigate the challenges of poverty, foster care, and other obstacles. These mentors stick with the children for 12 years, guiding them from everything from homework to housing. The results are staggering. 92% of the kids go on to college, join the workforce, or serve in the military, proving that education is for people like them. And of course, there's the Utah Shakespeare Festival, which inspires lifelong learning through art and storytelling. These programs don't just educate, they elevate. They create pathways for success while honoring the diverse stories and histories that make Utah what it is today. So, how do we ensure that education delivers on its promise? How do we rebuild trust and confidence in higher education, particularly for people like Sarah and Alex and millions of others that are trying to navigate it? First, we've got to make college affordable and accessible. Programs like Admit Utah are a great start, but we've got to go further. Financial aid has to be robust and easy to access. Enrollment processes must be simplified, and we have to ensure that students aren't forced to choose between education and basic needs like food and housing, so students like Sarah can succeed without sacrificing everything else in their lives. Second, we must focus on high-quality credentials. For many learners, degrees are not the only path forward. Certificates, badges, and apprenticeships are powerful tools, but they've got to be clear, relevant, and aligned with real job opportunities, so people like Alex can confidently pursue paths that lead to meaningful careers. This is a priority in Utah. Your Speaker of the House and the Senate President have been working to ensure higher education is more focused on credentials of value and workforce outcomes. And Governor Cox's 2025 budget priorities are working to expand funds for technical colleges and programs that meet Utah's fast-changing workforce needs. These are important steps. Third, we've got to close attainment gaps. Our system has to adapt to meet the needs of today's students, many of whom, like Sarah, are working adults, juggling multiple responsibilities. And we have to focus on equity, ensuring that students from low-income, rural, and racially diverse backgrounds have the same opportunities as everyone else. Finally, we have to foster a culture of lifelong learning. It's not just about helping people like Sarah and Alex finish their degrees, but that's important. It's about creating opportunities for all of us to keep learning and growing no matter where we are in life. I often think about where Sarah and Alex are today. I imagine Sarah proudly displaying her degree on the wall alongside the diplomas her now adult children have, proof that her sacrifices and perseverance changed the trajectory of her family. I picture Alex running his tech store, teaching people in the community how to embrace technology and mentoring the next generation to believe that education is for everyone. Their stories, your stories, the stories of tens of millions of people in Utah and across the United States remind us why this work matters. Education is not just about individual success. It's about creating stronger families, thriving communities, and a brighter future for all of us. But here's the truth. This work does not happen in isolation. It takes all of us, educators, leaders, policymakers, parents, neighbors, to create a system that works for people like Sarah and Alex. So as we leave here today, I challenge each of you to take action. Mentor a student, advocate for policies that increase access, or find ways to make education more meaningful and accessible in your community. Imagine the impact if everyone in this room committed to removing just one barrier for one person. Together, we can ensure that no one has to choose between survival and success. Together, we can create a future where education truly serves the common good. So let's get to work. Thank you.
I have a ton of audience questions here, and I'm trying to synthesize them so we can give some coherent answer in a short period of time. But there are 3 or 4 around what you talked about with regard to increasing life expectancy and lifelong learning, and the data that predicts that Utah will experience something which I've heard called a demographic dip, not a cliff, within a decade. So we will see, and that's for traditional college-age students. And I wonder if there's more to be said for us about the many experiences the Lumina Foundation has in other states that are experiencing like true cliffs or actual struggling right now with how to deliver higher education many decades out in the face of a transformed population model.
Yeah, so for those of you who aren't aware, we're in the United States. I know Utah's a little bit different right now, but in the United States, we're about to hit a demographic cliff. And that demographic cliff is really the aging population of our youth. And so about 17 years ago, there was a dip in the birth rate. So we have fewer babies were born. And as a result, we have the numbers of high school graduates coming, which will decrease the number of traditional aged college students. That cliff is really hitting at about 2025, so we're right there. And when that happens, it's gonna have a pretty big dip of some people are guessing about 20% fewer college students of traditional age. And so that's going to absolutely impact our colleges and universities because all of a sudden there aren't as many students to go around. Universities are gonna have to work to attract them.
And our business models are dependent on the number of students, which is part of the problem.
Absolutely. A lot of the funds you get and other things are how many people you have. And so, colleges and universities are gonna have to rethink their business models. They're going to have to also rethink how they're attracting students and providing, good quality credentials and other things to them. But some of the things they're going to have to do is how can they reach back out to those 42 million people I talked about who started college and never finished their credential? That's a lot of people. How do they reach out to people that need to be skilled and upskilled so that they are better prepared for today and tomorrow's workforce? So there are a lot of challenges coming up, but universities and colleges across the country should be coming up with new plans now to try to address this.
So 2 other questions, I think they're very different. One is a series of questions around how the discussion regarding higher education in the US, and I really think public higher education, is polarizing, along with many other things that are polarizing. I think you and I both know that the data shows that and you express this, I think, really well, but along many, many, many different vectors that you can look at, shows that higher education is valuable. It's both valuable for you as an individual and your family, and it's also valuable for our economies. But we've lost the capacity to articulate that in a way that is believable. And it may be caught up in our cost structure, but I think there's more to it than that.
Yeah, so there's a lot going on. So first of all, I mentioned that confidence has gone down in higher ed. The reality is confidence has gone down in most all institutions in the U.S., leading with the Supreme Court and Congress. Confidence is only still pretty high for police and small businesses. So everybody is decreasing. But the sharp decline over the last, just 8 years in higher ed is particularly alarming. And when we look at why confidence is declining, there are a number of reasons that it's declining. People are afraid it doesn't lead to a good job, that there's no job on the other end, it's not affordable, it's become too political, those sort of things. And that's true across the board. Everybody has lost confidence. So it's not the right or the left, young and old, everybody's losing confidence. They're losing confidence for different reasons there. And I think higher ed talks a lot about, how good they are and what they provide. And, just like I did, shout out all these facts. You earn $1 million more over your lifetime. You'll live longer. But instead of shouting out these facts, higher ed and many of us need to just take a moment and listen to the concerns that people are having. So what are those concerns? They're concerned about the cost. So it is not... They don't see it as a value add if they believe they're going to be crippled with debt for years and years. We know that people, because of the debt that they are incurring, they're less likely to start a family, to start a business, to buy a car, buy a house. And so these are things that are impacting people's lives. So we need to listen to those and try to navigate a system and tell people, we hear you, we hear what you're saying, and we're going to try to fix this. We're going to work together and create a better future where it is more accessible to people, and it is that value.
Hear, hear.
Yeah.
Next set of questions. Actually, there's a couple totally different. Now for something completely different. But everybody knows, one way or another, that artificial intelligence is not merely changing a lot of aspects of society, but it will have major impacts on higher education, probably all education, but in higher education where we receive from a K-12 sort of system, and then we have to make sure, I would argue, along the lines of affordability, but we have to make sure that graduates are prepared for the world, for the work world in particular, but also for the social world, for the world of being functioning, giving back humans. And there are a lot of people who are really interested in your thoughts on AI as it affects the fundamental mission. Are you ready for that?
I'm no AI expert, so I don't want to
Neither am I.
Say I am. But in the research that I've read and some of our colleagues at Lumina who have delved into this, it is going to change the very landscape of all education. But one thing that I hear over and over again from labor economists and other people that really think about AI is the value of the bachelor's degree is actually going to increase. The value of being able to have critical thought, to look at different perspectives. Everyone who's questioned, what about those philosophy degrees? Those philosophy degrees are going to do really well in the future because they provide these skills and these abilities. So, just as we're questioning the value of higher ed and looking at types of credentials, we really need to keep in mind what skills and abilities you're going to need to navigate and be more nimble in the AI world.
And I will point our audience to a very recent, like within the last couple of weeks, Cicero study that was done for the Utah Board of Higher Education, querying many, many, many companies in Utah, all of whom said that these soft skills were as important as the discipline areas that people were learning about in education. And I agree with you. I don't think AI will deliver those full sets of capacities. They won't be able to manage teams and make sure people's mental health is adequate to the task and all of that. Then there's a set of questions. We have about a minute and a half left, just really focused on this kind of growing panorama of options, in addition to the bachelor's degree, which is certificates and AA degrees and all of that. And how do we, as a state, think about all those options and where they deliver people into the workforce and into their lives?
You know, the whole world of credentials is confusing. There are a lot. There are over 1 million different types of credentials you can get, and knowing which one is going to pay off is even harder. There's something called the credential engine, which you can go to, and it looks at like what kind of jobs you might be able to get, and you know where you can get the better credentials that are going to pay off. So I think, you know, if I were pursuing a credential, or I have children that are actually, what I ask them to do is like, and look at what is it you want to do? What credential is going to get you there? And then look at the types of outcomes that credential has provided other people like you. Does it lead to a job? What does the provider show that they, you know, what are the outcomes for their graduates? Whether it's at a university, whether it's a badge, whether it's a certificate, a certification. Do a little bit of homework to make sure you're going into it with your eyes wide open, because there are a lot of bad actors out there. There are a lot of good actors, a lot of very good actors, but there are bad actors out there too. And so go in, do a little bit of homework to make sure that's actually going to pay off.
Hear, hear. And with 5 children, some of whom are taking certificates, I have many, many questions a lot of the time. Is that going to help you? So we are out of time. Please thank Dr. Brown, and I'm sure she's available to peck at the end of, with your questions. And I know we received more questions and perhaps can help answer them other ways. Thank you for paying attention to this particularly important, to me, area of endeavor, because I believe it's critical to the future of the state of Utah. So thank you, Courtney.
Thank you.
And now for the main event, the Common Good Awards. To introduce our first award, please welcome Nubia Pena.
Good and happy afternoon, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be with you. So my name is Nubia Pena, and I am the Governor's Senior Advisor on Access and Opportunity, as well as the Director for the Utah Division of Multicultural Affairs. And part of my work is being able to identify key leaders in the community that are doing their part to create greater thriving and opportunities for our families in the state. And that was how we came across the incredible organization that is receiving an honor today, Friends of Children Utah. So when we think about the future of Utah, and as we've heard today from our keynote speakers, we know that it is about our children, our labor force, and the leaders that are going to pass the mantles to take our state to that next level. And I'm honored to recognize an organization that truly embodies this idea. Friends of the Children is one of the only long-term professional mentoring programs coming to Utah in March of 2020. And you can all imagine how hard that year must have been in 2020 during COVID. With a trauma-informed and research-based approach, they don't just support children for a season of hardship. They are committed to being there every step of the way, from kindergarten to high school graduation. Each professional mentor or friend serves up to 8 children at a time. Their impact extends beyond the individual child, improving lives for generations to come. Today, Friends of the Children Utah serves 300 individuals, including 62 directly enrolled children, their siblings, and their caregivers. Taking the time to build strong, lasting relationships with the children and their families creates a powerful network of care and provides the tools that are needed to break the cycles of poverty and adversity. For these reasons and so many more, I am happy and honored to award Friends of the Children Utah with a 2024 Common Good Award. Please help me welcome them with a warm round of applause.
So, Kaden, if another little boy was to ask you, what's it like to have a friend, what would you tell them?
It feels good. You always have someone to be there for you. Without this program, kids fall through the cracks.
I always say that my job is the best job in the world. Oh, what do you do for work? Well, I have the best job in the world. My job title is friend.
The mission of Friends of the Children is to disrupt cycles of generational poverty by empowering youth through relationships with professional mentors. And what's really special about Friends of the Children is when you say mentor, you think of a volunteer. And our mentors are professionals. So by moving mentorship beyond the volunteer realm, we're able to do something really unique and innovative, and that is make a long-term commitment to these children and these families. Once a child is enrolled, we are committing to follow them all the way throughout their childhood, kindergarten through high school graduation, no matter what.
The Friends of the Children, they really support my family. Zach is pretty much the only male role model that he has because his dad has stepped out. He has taught Caden how to have an appropriate bond with a male and what that bond looks like and what it should look like.
Yo lo he criado, entonces su mamá no estaba acá ni su papá, entonces me ha tocado a mí estar con él y fue muy importante el saber de este lugar, de Amigo de los Niños, para Ángel y para mí, para mi familia.
It's getting to work not just with the youth, but with the family. It's getting to work with kids not in a very short time period, but a super long time period, really involving yourselves in the nitty-gritty of helping people on a day-to-day basis. And I don't know, I've worked in education. This is far beyond what education offers.
The support is individualized, so really what our staff are doing with children is based on their individual unique needs. We meet the children where they are in home, community, school, and provide this holistic support, not to replace a parent or a teacher, but to walk alongside them.
And with Friends of the Children, they give me the information that I need and the classes. I think this program will help Aria to succeed, but it will also help me to help Aria to succeed.
Con su amigo Will, dice él, se siente cómodo con él, en hablar con él, lo que quizás no puede hablar conmigo, tal vez lo habla con él con más confianza.
And because of Zach assuring me, and helping me through all this, Caden is soaring. I'm soaring as a mom. I feel like I'm crushing it. And I feel like I'm a great mom due to the program and having the resources that I have with you guys. I absolutely love the program. It's the best program I have had him in.
When a child is paired with a friend for 12 years, 92% of our youth go on to enroll in post-secondary education, to serve our country, or enter the workforce. And 83% receive their high school diploma or GED. 98% of youth wait to parent until after their teen years, and 93% of youth remain free from involvement in the juvenile justice system.
I want to be in the military. You could learn how to be a good person.
And not to brag a little bit, but one of my kids the other day told me that his favorite job to be when he grows up was to be a mentor as well.
For these kids, this might be the one consistent person. If parents are in and out of the picture, if these children have been placed in foster care, their friend is the one who's going to be there for them, no matter what.
Yo siento que ellos han sido muy importantes para nosotros en nuestra familia, y gracias a Dios y gracias al programa, porque llegaron a mi casa y con Ángel y con la familia. Y yo le doy gracias a Dios por eso. También a todos los amigos de los niños, al programa, a las personas que han hecho posible esta organización. Y esperemos que llegue a muchas casas, a muchas familias que lo necesitan.
This program's going to be with me and behind me and with Aria until she graduates high school. I think that's a wonderful thing.
With the support of the community, we're going to be able to provide every child in Utah who needs a friend that committed, dedicated, caring adult to walk alongside them.
Accepting the award for Friends of the Children Utah is the Executive Director, Kelsey Lewis.
Oh, wow, thank you. This is an incredible honor, and I am humbled to be accepting this award. on behalf of Friends of the Children. I talk a lot, but I don't usually talk in front of this many people. So, Friends of the Children, we truly believe in the power of relationships to transform lives and create opportunities for children. And we are so blessed to work with 62 of the most amazing children in Utah right now. Duncan Campbell, our founder, said, "We are relentless, so they will be resilient." And that really captures the essence of what we do at Friends of the Children: investing early, committing for the long term, and making it possible for children to create pathways forward, regardless of the circumstances that they were born into. This award is truly a testament of the work of the amazing team that I am so privileged to work with. I'm proud to walk alongside them, to support them. This is work of the heart, and while it is inspiring, it's not easy, and I am so proud of them every day. So, Friends of the Children team, would you just stand up really quick so we can recognize you? Thank you. And I also want to thank our board of directors. 3 of them are here with us today. Our board chair is Stephen Foxley. If you would stand up, Stephen. And Evelyn Everton, our vice chair. And Regine McCutcheon is over here somewhere too. We are so grateful for our board and their vision, their commitment, and the guidance and really strategic thinking that they bring to provide the governance that we need to grow. And our community donors, we would not be here today if it weren't for significant support from family foundations who came together in early 2020 to make the dream of Friends of the Children in Utah a reality. We're grateful for their continued support, for the investment of public dollars. This is truly a public-private partnership, and we couldn't be more grateful. So I'm probably at time. I heard that there was a timer. So I just thank you again so much for this incredible recognition. We're incredibly grateful and for all the good work that you all do.
To introduce our second award, please welcome Keith McMullen.
I consider it a unique opportunity and privilege to be extended the invitation to make this introduction. Stella Harris Oakes was born July 27, 1906, in a farm home that did not have running water or indoor plumbing. She married at 23 years of age, became a mother at 26, and was a widow with 3 young children at 34, with the weight of the world resting upon her shoulders. But life is met best with faith and optimism. Stella furthered her education, reared her 2 sons and a daughter, and in words of tribute by her son, Dallin H. Oakes, a respected educator, jurist, and church leader, she, quote, always spoke the positive about everything and everyone. She made things happen in the family, school, and community because she would not recognize the possibility that a good work could not be done or that good people, everyone in her definition, would not want to and were not capable of doing it, close quote. From the canon of Stella's church and faith comes this principle, quote, widows and orphans should be provided for, as also the poor, close quote. Stella knew firsthand the soundness of this principle. The Stella H. Oakes Foundation champions single mothers by opening the doorway to education and self-reliance. It recognizes the profound impact of giving single mothers the opportunity to complete their educational pursuits. The foundation has awarded $1.9 million of scholarships thus far, the true value of which is many times more than that, as attested by over 700 award recipients. And the impact does not stop with these incredible women. Education is empowerment, and the Stella H. Oaks Foundation empowers mothers who establish pathways for their children, pathways of optimism, preparation, and hope, pathways vital to the future of Utah and beyond. We thank the Stella H. Oaks Foundation for giving this gift to members of our community and are pleased to present the foundation with this 2024 Common Good Award.
Those of you that have been a single mom, those of you that have a sister or a loved one or a best friend that is a single mom, please stand. Okay, you look around. This isn't a minority group that we are talking about.
My name is Stella Harris Oaks. I loved my husband Lloyd throughout the many years that we courted, and during those 10 beautiful years as my husband and father of our 3 children.
When a husband leaves, either through death or divorce, they face lives of quiet desperation.
Life did not seem worth living after he passed away.
Her world was shattered.
Probably one of the most challenging times of my life, definitely.
I experienced a delirium of hopelessness, which caused me a total mental breakdown.
She reached the depth of her depression. She couldn't remember her children's names.
I lost all feeling of self-worth and that I mattered.
Because of the love of my parents and returning to hard work while leaning on my education, I was able to recover and support my family during these very trying times.
She was a teacher, she was an administrator, she was a mother, she was a community leader, and she was a church worker.
Because of Stella, I am able to go to school and give my kids a better future and give myself a better life. I'm so grateful, and my kids are grateful too.
Kids are 25% more likely to obtain a higher education if they come from a home that has a parent who's already done it.
When I heard about the Stella, I was like, yay, I can go to school, hopefully to become a nurse one day.
I continue to hear it over and over and over again. The impact is just tremendous and such a need.
So because of Stella, I think that my kids can see my progress, and I feel like I can finally break the cycle because I am like a first-generation college student.
Sometimes you just want to fall apart and have somebody hug you and tell you it's going to be okay, and I think that's hard for single parents because they don't have that.
And I felt hopeless. I kind of felt like I had to give up on my dreams in order to take care of my kids. It helped give me hope again, that I wasn't alone.
I think it's immeasurable, the value of an education.
It awakens women to be aware of the needs of women. I'm really proud of this foundation.
Helping single mothers who are raising children to raise good children is a great contribution to the future of this nation. I believe in this foundation because of its impact on the future generations of our nation.
Bruce Olson, member of the Stella H. Oaks Foundation Board of Directors, will be accepting the award for the foundation.
We're grateful for Envision Utah in awarding this honor to the Stella Oaks Foundation. Thank you very much. I'm flanked here by 2 wonderful friends and colleagues. I'll introduce them in just a moment, and they will have the last word. In 1940, as indicated in the video, Stella Oaks experienced the passing of her husband, a physician, to tuberculosis. She was left with responsibility to raise 2 young boys, ages 7 and 4, and a young daughter, 15 months old. She had a stark choice. She could move in with her parents and eke out a living as best she could, perhaps teaching, or she could further her education. She chose the latter. And through a fairly arduous period of several years, with a great deal of help from her extended family and sacrifice with her and her children, she was able to obtain a master's degree at Columbia University, and thereby was able to obtain excellent employment in the Provo City school system as an administrator. Over the course of, over the course of her career, she was able to serve for 6 years on the Provo City Council, 4 years as an assistant mayor, and even mayor of Provo for a short time. Her children, as indicated, have all been highly successful with their own careers and families. Each have obtained education, distinguished careers in the law and in medicine, and of course, Merrill Oaks and President Oaks have been church leaders in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Several years ago, Richard McDermott approached the Oaks family and encouraged them to set up this foundation where we could reach out to single mothers. There are tens of thousands of single mothers in the state of Utah who are looking for a hand up as opposed to a handout, who are wondering about the success of their family, about their future, and who realize that if they can get an education, they can increase their employment opportunities and be empowered. And that's what our foundation is about. As indicated, we have been able to give over 800 scholarships thus far and counting. We're so grateful for these heroes in our community who simply need assistance to get some additional education and make a difference in their lives. We would like to thank all of those who make this possible, our board of directors, Sarah Ebert, our director of operations, and Amy Oaks Long. Would all of you please stand if you would? We're grateful as well to previous board members and many others that have assisted us in this important work. We're grateful for many donors who make it possible for us. We appreciate their generosity. And last but certainly not least are the single mothers who are out there, who are looking for help, those that we're able to help and others that we hope we can help. They may be suffering defeats, but with the help of our generous donors and friends in the community, they will not be defeated. Thank you again for this award, and I will let Kristen Oaks, who is a member of the board and the heart of the board of directors, been here since its inception, is here with us, and Elaine Dalton, who's the president of the foundation and who, along with others, interviews every single scholarship recipient to find out more about them and how we can better assist them obtain their educational pursuits.
Oh, you're so sweet. You know, without Bruce and his legal knowledge, there would be no foundation. So I just want to clap. He's pretty wonderful. I wanted to thank Courtney Brown. You personalized your talk to Utah. I have never seen anyone come and visit and know so much about us, so thank you so much. Elaine and I are standing up for women. I just wanted you to know that we care about, this is not just a scholarship that we give, but we make sure from the beginning that we will support someone to the end. And even during COVID, we discovered that about 100 of our girls had no computer. They could not afford one. And they had children. They went to schools, they went to libraries, and that was, I guess, the time I learned to beg from people, but we came up with 100 computers. So I want you to know this is a foundation that changes people's lives, and I especially want to introduce Elaine because she's invested emotionally. It's one thing to hand out money, and it's another thing to see that someone believes in themselves and they're inspired and they're able to do it, and I just want to turn the time to her.
Well, I will just say, isn't it a privilege? Isn't it a privilege to be able to help another person succeed and to watch what happens to generations? And what a privilege it is for us to be honored today, really. the honor goes to everyone who's donated to our foundation and everyone who's helped on the board, Bruce, Kristen, everyone. So thank you for recognizing and honoring us. I will just say that the 3 pillars of the Stella Oaks Foundation are to educate, empower, and employ. And today, after being with you, I would have to say, elevate. So thank you so much for this wonderful recognition. And thank you, there are many of you here in the room who have given your financial support to make it possible for us to grant 117 scholarships this last semester to single mothers who will see all the way through their education. So thank you so much for that. Know that the money that's given is not wasted. 96% of everything that is donated goes directly to the recipient. So thank you very much. Thank you, Brother McMullen. I'm calling you brother because I feel like you are for that beautiful introduction as well. Thank you all.
Now, to introduce our third and final award, please welcome Patrice Arendt.
Congratulations to the prior 2 award recipients. What an incredible contribution they've made to our community, our state. So thank you. I'm Patrice Arendt, a former member of the State Senate and House, and a very proud member of the Executive Committee of Envision Utah. For our final awardee, I'm proud to recognize one of the premier arts organizations in the nation. I am truly honored to present the Common Good Award to the Utah Shakespeare Festival. Founded in 1961 by Fred Adams, this professional theater company has grown beyond measure. Over 60 years ago, who would have ever predicted that a theater company in Little Cedar City, Utah, would evolve into the tremendous festival we know today? They've inspired so many other local festivals that Cedar City is now known as the Festival City. The Utah Shakespeare Festival truly epitomizes Envision Utah's mission to help Utahns build a more beautiful, prosperous, healthy, and neighborly future. Great arts organizations like the Utah Shakespeare Festival build community. The festival's values of integrity, collaboration, connection, respect, curiosity, and dedication are all so truly important to our society. I've had the privilege of attending the Utah Shakespeare Festival most of my life. It's an important part of my family's life, just like it is for many of you here and many people throughout the state. In addition to seeing countless plays, my daughter attended their summer education program. She told me how invaluable that training was to her. My son has gone almost every year of his life, including when I was pregnant with him. When he was 8, he normally would go to the Green Show, and then we would take him to the childcare. But he decided he really wanted to see Richard III, that bloody tale of evil and ambition. You know, I was a little worried whether this was going to be appropriate. But executive producer, my friend Fred Adams, and my friend Michael Barr, who was then the education director, said, "Oh, he'll love it." And he's the perfect age to go. And Josh did love it, and he's still attending every year now. The Utah Shakespeare Festival does so much for our youth. Their annual Shakespeare competition hosts 3,000 students from 110 schools from many states. It is the largest scholastic Shakespeare competition in North America. They also travel to perform plays and provide instructional workshops to schools, communities, and youth correctional facilities throughout the Intermountain West. Many people from rural communities have told me about the positive impact the Shakespeare Festival has had on their lives. In addition to exposing them to great theater, in many cases the first play they've ever seen, they have learned incredible life skills, such as how to better communicate and how to interact with people who come from different backgrounds. In the past few years, the touring production of the play Every Brilliant Thing, has been performed 220 times before almost 51,000 students and over 3,000 adults. The play helps students and adults deal with depression. It gives them hope. In 2000, the Utah Shakespeare Festival won the coveted Tony Award for Outstanding Regional Theater. It is historic that this award, given for theatrical excellence, went to the festival in Cedar City, Utah. The festival has 25 full-time and 350 seasonal employees from all over the country, and each year they have over 300 volunteers. It's an economic driver for Cedar City, for Southern Utah, for our entire state. In fact, they just commissioned a study from the Imperative Research Group on their economic impact. And the report concluded that their annual economic impact is $81.3 million. Wow, annually. And this is for a season that only runs 16 weeks. I'm thrilled that my friend, Executive Managing Director Michael Barr, who has dedicated most of his professional life to the festival, is here to receive the award. The Utah Shakespeare Festival's mission is to bring the works of Shakespeare and many other playwrights to life through the festival experience, and they do an amazing job. As a state, we are all truly better for it. Congratulations to the Utah Shakespeare Festival for receiving Envision Utah's 2024 Common Good Award.
Founded in 1961 by Fred C. Adams, the Utah Shakespeare Festival is a professional award-winning theater company located in Cedar City, Utah, on the campus of Southern Utah University. As one of the oldest and largest Shakespeare festivals in North America, it produces classic and contemporary plays in rotating repertory, June through October. These plays are supported by what we like to call the festival experience, which includes pre-show orientations, post-show seminars, backstage tours, and green show entertainment that engage patrons through interactive experiences. The mission of the Utah Shakespeare Festival states that we bring the works of Shakespeare and other storytellers to life. We cultivate connections between artists and local, regional, and national communities. With a commitment to artistic and educational excellence, we inspire, we entertain, and we embrace the enduring power of live theatrical experiences. The festival also proudly provides extensive educational programming to the Intermountain region. These programs include the annual Shakespeare in the Schools tour that takes condensed Shakespeare plays and workshops to schools and communities. Additionally, the Shakespeare Competition is an academic festival which annually hosts over 3,000 students from over 110 schools, the largest of its kind in the United States. The festival also provides youth camps, adult classes, and instructional workshops for schools, communities, and youth correctional facilities. The festival performs their dynamic and varied plays in 3 theaters: the Engelstad Shakespeare Theater, the Randall L. Jones Theater, and the Eileen and Alan Ain Studio Theater, all located in the Beverly Taylor Sorensen Center for the Arts. The festival received the 2000 Tony Award for Outstanding Regional Theater and is a cultural leader within the theater community.
Utah Shakespeare Festival Executive Managing Director Michael Barr will be accepting the award for the festival.
Isn't the world a wonderful place, right? Yeah? What a joy, what a beautiful, amazing joy it is to be at this event and to be honored in this manner. Thank you, Patrice, for those kind words. Thank you, Envision Utah. I'm going to be really quick, and I speak very, very quickly here, okay? So here we go. I am joined by our artistic director, John D'Antonio, and leaders of our production and artistic staff, who I have promised I will not make them stand up. These are the heroes, literally the people behind the curtain. You've all seen Wicked, right? You've all seen the Wizard of Oz. They make that happen. Actually, at that table right there, we've got about 200 years worth of theatrical experience just sitting there who have been working at the festival. So grateful for that. 2 quick stories. I do remember telling Patrice Arendt that her 8-year-old son would be just fine in Richard III, and he has turned into a wonderful human being. I guarantee, I promise you, that's what the power of these plays do. And Fred knew that long ago. You've heard the story, both from Patrice and from the video. A visionary, 1961, says, we're going to do Shakespeare under the stars, and people will come from all over the world, and they will be blessed as they're hiking the canyons, and then they'll come and they'll participate in these plays. But he wanted to make sure that it was not just the plays. So he had an orientation before the plays even began. It was always about the education. Post-show discussions when you get done. Free green show on the lawn. Completely empowering. This is not just about entertainment. This is about enrichment, elevation, and engagement so that you can really be changed by the work that you're seeing with those plays. That's why all those other programs you were describing and why we're a part of that. 2 stories. A long time ago, I was a small kid in Richfield, Utah. I'm still a small kid. But a small kid in Richfield, Utah, went and participated in that Shakespeare competition. It had only been running for 5 years, changed my life. I then went to Southern Utah University, where I became a teacher. I then went to Southern California, taught in Northern Utah, and then was dragged kicking and screaming out of the classroom by Fred C. Adams to run their education program. Was there for 26 years as education director, and am now in the executive management position there too. It changed my life. Not just being a part of the organization, but being a part of what the mission of the organization is. I'm going to try to tell this story cloaked, but we are in the time of year where we hire people for next year. And frequently, to get those 350 people from all across the country to come and work for us during the summer, because we don't have a lot of money like they have in Chicago and New York and LA. How can we get people here to do this? And we've been blessed in some of the recent interviews to have some individuals who have been at these organizations, much like these people at the table, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, when they could have worked elsewhere. And we ask, why are you here? And they said, well, I could make more money somewhere else, which we're trying to change. I could make more money somewhere else. But here, I see the impact. Here, I can feel how we're changing people's lives. And I'm grateful for this amazing opportunity to be blessed by Envision Utah. The acknowledgement that we have the opportunity, all of us, to change people's lives through these acts that we've seen from the previous groups, the acts of literally going to a play and seeing someone who's not like us go through something that we go through and change. And I'm grateful for the opportunity that we have to do that. If you have not been to the Utah Shakespeare Festival, we're playing every summer. Come and join us. If it's been a while, come and join us. And you're smiling here. Carol Spackman Moss, my life is much like yours as a teacher for years. I'm checking into the hotel. As I walk into the hotel, she goes, "Oh, you're from the Shakespeare Festival? We went to the Shakespeare Festival." It's magic. So thank you. Thank you so much for the work you do in changing lives, and join us in our continual work of changing each other's lives. Thank you, thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored to be able to participate in this event with Envision Utah every single year, but I'm sorry that I can't be there in person today. Thank you for letting me join you with a video message. The Common Good Awards are a time to celebrate the people that make Utah great. People and organizations that have dedicated themselves to making things better for others. Today, we will honor 3 exceptional organizations whose dedication and service have profoundly impacted our state. First, I'd like to offer my congratulations and sincere thanks to Friends of the Children Utah. Friends of the Children goes above and beyond to ensure that our children are taken care of. The future of Utah is found in our children, and I'm grateful to Friends of the Children Utah for believing in and working to realize that vision. I'd also like to congratulate the Stella H. Oaks Foundation for their work with single mothers. When we give single mothers the opportunity to pursue more education, we open doors for them and show their children how important getting an education is. When we educate a mother, we educate generations. I'm so grateful for the work the Stella H. Oaks Foundation is doing. Thank you. Finally, I'd like to congratulate the Utah Shakespeare Festival. It takes a considerable amount of vision and work to create a world-class theater festival in a small college town in southern Utah. This festival has been invaluable to Southern Utah University, to Cedar City, and to the entire state. Participating in the arts as spectators or performers is an inspiring experience. Your performances have touched hearts and changed lives. Thank you for all that you do. We are so lucky to have so many organizations here in Utah that do amazing work. Thank you all for your hard work, and congratulations again on being this year's Common Good Award recipients.
Please welcome to the stage Envision Utah's Director of Development, Sarah Beck.
Wow. Wow, this has been amazing. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting Envision Utah. Your presence means so much to all of us, and together, we are making a real difference. I want to offer my congratulations to the amazing groups that we recognize today with the Common Good Awards. Thank you for all that you are doing for our communities. And thank you, Courtney, for being here to share your data and your insights on the future of higher education. I also want to thank our great sponsors. We have wonderful people that support us, and I am so grateful. Thank you for your help, and thank you for helping us make this happen. We had a wonderful high school quartet. Your support allowed us to have great food. Thank you. This event was made possible because of you. As we wrap up, I want to remind you that your support of Envision Utah has a lasting impact. Every donation, no matter the size, helps us continue our mission. If you haven't had the chance yet, every table has a QR code, and I would invite you to donate. Thank you so much. We are kind of a unique organization at Envision Utah. We do something that no one else does. I understand that it takes a little bit of a leap of faith to support Envision Utah, but as Ari underscored at the beginning of this event, it's faith not just in the great people that work at Envision Utah, but it's faith in the people in this room and the wonderful women and men that work here in Utah. Your support shows that you believe that we can come together and tackle the big challenges that face our state. Thank you once again for being a part of this great event today and being a part of what makes Envision Utah special. Together, we're stronger, and we look forward to continuing to work for the common good of Utah. Thank you.